Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrick, and alongside me for our first live show of 2021 is the Wise Wisconsinite, Mr. Jesse Douglas.
How's it going, everyone?
Also, the
Didn't
PC.
think I was gonna be here, but I made it happen.
You did.
Against all odds, he's here.
Hey Corey, real fast. Check your Twitch feed real fast.
Check my Twitch feed real fast.
Yeah, I need you just to make sure everything's all right, unless it's my settings that are wrong. Yeah, it's my settings that are wrong. I'm stupid.
Oh. The Tech Wizard PC Muscle Race.
Hey! I taught you all the tricks.
PC Muscle Race. I love it.
At Exodus803 on Twitch and on Twitter, you can tweet at him how smart he is. IT guy, Mr. LeRon Dawkins.
Hey everybody. I showed you all the tricks last night, and now you're gonna try to upstage me. I get it.
My settings are right.
This time.
Also, the lore archivist himself, the cookie baker, the Viking maker, Josh Finney.
I like how you have different names for me every single time. I really am starting to like.
Look,
this.
here's the thing. It's becoming a challenge. Okay, it's my own personal challenge to come up with better names based on the games that you're playing.
I still think that the Mayor of the Deepstone Crypt is my favorite one.
Yeah, but I can only use that on Tower Casuals because 99% of the time people watching this show don't play Destiny and don't know what the Deepstone Crypt is. So,
Josh, the only reason why you're getting so many different nicknames week in and week out is because you're his favorite. That's why.
I mean, I knew that. that has never been in question. Guys, did everyone have a good Christmas?
I did.
Or, like, holiday insert holiday here season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
I did.
Yeah, we did Hanukkah and Christmas. So
I had like 4 Christmases, and it was really weird because like we're all doing socially distanced Christmases, so. We didn't do them on the same day, so we've had like a whole week. It's been really weird. Every day that Chelsea hasn't gone to work, I've gotten presents.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah, because we've had somewhere different to go like every time, with the exception of like going to her parents, which I don't do. But it's great because people finally listen to me this year. I got nothing but liquor and video games. It was fantastic.
Hey,
all I needed in life.
Josh
That's a holiday miracle.
Yeah, Josh is one happy person right now. I also had a very decent Christmas. We went over to my mom's. It was just us. So no family, no extended people, nothing. Just a big old breakfast and some gifts and some, kid time. And then we came home and that was it. We had Chinese food on Christmas Eve, so... It's our new tradition. We're going to watch Chinese brunch.
Chinese food sounds so good.
I have been fighting for brunch to be a thing for Christmas, like for our Christmas meal instead of making ham or turkey. And I was like, if you're going to do ham, do a breakfast ham. Like, come on. And you know what? This year, my dad finally caved because he's like, you know what? I have to work because people keep flying in and out of the airport because they're stupid. So he's like, I don't want to cook. We're doing... brunch.
Nice.
Gentlemen, there is nothing like a breakfast beer while you are opening Christmas presents with your younger stepsister, and she's just looking at you like, really? We're doing this already? Yes, we're doing this already. You're 13, you're old enough to know that I start drinking very
early. You're old enough to know that this orange beverage is not orange juice.
Listen, I was very excited this year because she's really gotten into video games like the last year and a half, 2 years. And all she wanted for Christmas this year from me were Steam gift cards.
Nice.
Steam.
And we installed Destiny 2 New Light on her PC before I left.
Uh-oh.
So I'm starting her early.
There's a kindergarten in the works.
They're quite literally a kinder. We have a new blueberry.
Is she even at a blueberry stage yet? Is she just still wearing greens and whites?
They pretty much have gotten rid of that. You get blues and like legendaries right off the bat now.
Oh, well, I guess that makes sense. I guess that was like, I don't know.
She wants everyone to know though that Shah Han is the absolute worst character in Destiny, and that I was right.
I mean, I don't think anybody's really arguing that, right? I mean, look.
So bad. It's so bad, guys.
Hawthorne looks like Saint 14 compared to Shah Han.
Pretty much.
Let's be honest. That's a Destiny reference, everybody. You can.
She got me this. She got me this little number for Christmas.
Yeah, you posted
nice.
that on. Did you post that? You posted that somewhere, right?
I posted it on Twitter. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I love it. Rechargeable batteries have already changed my life.
Rechargeable batteries are amazing. Oh,
yeah.
Man. So
I've got a bunch of them now.
Oh, man. So, all right, I'm going to get into this housekeeping. We have a couple of announcements, actually, before we get started into the show, but it's true. This is the Boss Rush Podcast, the flagship show of Boss Rush Games. Each and every week, we come together with our friends from around the internet to talk about games and everything we love about them. You can find the show on podcast services, YouTube, and our website every Monday morning. If you like the show, remember to hit that subscribe button, and please rate and review us on whatever podcast service you listen to us on. It really helps with discoverability, helps us out, helps us grow, all that stuff. And everybody likes a good growth. Am I right? All right.
Except when it's on your skin. Except when it's on your skin.
Just had to ruin it, LeRon.
Hey. I'm just saying, sometimes folks need to know, like, if there's something weird on your skin, you need to go, hey, look at it at the doctor's office. That's all I'm saying.
It's true.
Some people are growers and not showers. So. They rely on growth.
Jesus. Happy New Year, everybody. Follow us on Twitter at Boss Rush Network and join our growing Discord. We're really going to try to push that Discord this year. It's a goal. Goal numero uno. So, also check out our entire family of shows on BossRushGames.com. A couple of announcements, real quick. Our top 25 games of 2020 article is up. Check it out and comment what your personal game of the year was. Did a little experiment this year with top, because I knew Boss Rush is so big now, right? There's a lot of people that contribute in some way, and wanted everybody's voice heard, right? Obviously, we're not going to have 15 people on this podcast, right? That's just it's not going to happen, right? It's no. So I asked everybody.
It's wishful thinking, though.
It is. That'd be cool, though. Would be cool. We had I asked everybody for their top 5 games, and your first place game is worth 5 points. Second place game worth 4 points, etc. And mathematically, I created this list based on people's choices, people's votes. Very diverse list, very good list. A couple of games on there that I'm surprised they're as high as they are, and a couple games that I'm surprised didn't make the list at all. So,
agreed on both counts.
Yeah. So, if you want to check it out, go check it out. Really appreciate you commenting on what your game of the year was. And yes, I'm aware there are certain games missing that I am aware we will get comments and tweets about. So,
as a matter of fact, I just made it easy for everybody that's in the Twitch chat right now. I've already thrown the link out there.
Thanks, LeRon. That's why you're here.
Yes.
Why you're here.
That's a teammate right there.
That is. It is.
And once you get through going through the list, then go back and check out all the other content available at BossRushGames.com.
Yes. Letter of the Editor is a new thing I'm trying to debut on the website. By the time this goes up on podcast feeds, it'll be up. You can check it out. Kind of want to bring an old school thought to what we're doing here. A lot of magazines used to do this back in the day. Pretty sure Game Informer still does it. Just kind of like, uplifting, kind of positive letter to the community every month and kind of update everybody what we're doing, that kind of thing. So that'll be up. And the last thing, the Boss Rush Podcast Network is open. We have opened the network. We have selected our first class. Very excited to announce our first class. The Bad Bitches Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Lore Together Podcast. The Loser Podcast. WASD and Beyond Podcast. It's WASD. I like to say WASD. And Galatrad, the streamer, you've seen him featured on Nintendo Pal Block and this show a couple times. So that is our Boss Rush Network first class of content creators. Very excited to have them featured on our website and through our social channels. The big thing I do want to reiterate, though, is even though they're part of our network, they're part of our, kind of what we're trying to build here. All of their content and everything that they do and create and make and everything, including monetization and assets and everything, still all theirs. This is more of a thing where I want... my goal with the Boss Rush Network is to kind of allow other cool shows have a bigger audience, have a bigger voice, connect with other creators, bounce ideas off of people and stuff. So that was kind of the idea behind the Boss Rush Network. Obviously, LeRon with your streaming stuff and Logan's LAN party stuff, that was kind of like the first thought of this kind of going around. Obviously, you guys are a bigger integral part of this now, but the network is hopefully everybody can connect and grow their audience in kind of a more organic way and just bounce ideas off of each other. So what's wrong, LeRon? You're laughing.
To be like the cheesy Star Trek guy in the group right now. We're like a united coalition of content creators. Huh? Yeah.
What a nerd. Nerd.
Well, guys, it was fun joining you. I gotta go.
Bye, Josh.
I gotta leave.
No, I just, my biggest thing has always been wanting to, since we started Boss Rush, was as we approach our content differently from what we were doing, previously, just trying to help people and do more with cool people. And if you have personal goals, I kind of want this platform to help your personal goals grow. And, I think we're accomplishing that in small ways. So,
yeah, we're all still, I feel like what's nice is like we're all, we're with us growing over the past couple of months or whatever from what we started as, we're still learning a lot. And, and it's just nice, like anything that we, like learn or figure out on our own, and can communicate with other people about. It's always nice because, you hear a lot of times, like even podcasts that I listen to, they'll have like an open channel where people, if they're interested in doing podcasting or whatever, can ask them questions or whatever. And it's just nice to have an opportunity to all, talk about things together.
That was me in the chat, guys. Sorry.
I know who it was. I know who it was.
So yeah, thank you guys for allowing us to, have you here, and I hope that, by using our Discord and our website and our social stuff, that your audiences grow. That's the goal here. And if you have any ideas or need some inspiration, we're all here to throw ideas your way. So that's it with the announcements. It's time to get to the meat of the show. Obviously, Game of the Year, big deal, right? For a lot of people. Big deal for a lot of people.
I'm just glad that, there wasn't a big, super big slugfest at Boss Rush Games this year. I know I can be a disruptive element sometimes,
Yeah, it's because you lift all them weights.
Gotta use the testosterone any way I can get, any way I can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I've asked you guys to bring your top 5 here so we can kind of just do a round robin type style games. Why we chose these games in our top 5. I played a lot more games that came out this year than I thought. It was let's be honest, it was a long year. It was a really long year. But there was a lot of great games that came out this year. So what we're going to do is kind of go around, give our top 5s, talk about them. Then we'll go over kind of like the top 10 of the Boss Rush list, and then we're going to talk about what games we've been looking forward to in 2021, and then we'll get out of here. So, Josh Finney, we're starting with you, sir. We're starting with you because you're rarely on this show.
So, all right. So for my top 5, I normally don't rank expansions in, but you said it was okay to do that this year. And let's be honest, I spent more time with expansions this year than I did with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So in no particular order, my top 5, I believe how I had it ranked when I sent it to you was Beyond Light, Cyberpunk, Valhalla, Wasteland 3, and Call of the Sea were my top 5.
Let me see. I have them all written down on this notepad here.
I had it in it was very similar to that.
Destiny 2, Wasteland 3,
yep.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
Okay.
Call of the Sea, and Cyberpunk in that order.
Whatever. Okay. Let's be honest, had it actually launched like decently and not had the insane amount of issues that it's still having a month after launch and had worked on 2 of the 3 promised platforms, Cyberpunk probably would have taken my game of the year. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time since I really got engrossed in an RPG like that, and I really only play Western RPGs when I play them. I don't play JRPGs. I love the characters. I love the world. I'm excited to see what happens going forward. I was a fan of the tabletop game, so seeing some of the scenarios that are in the source books come to life in the later stages of the game was really, really cool to me. I think by far my biggest surprise this year was Wasteland 3, though. I did not expect to even care about that game. I don't like isometric RPGs at all. They're not fun to me. But In Exile is the newer studio of Brian Fargo, who was one of the original minds behind Fallout. It was him and a lot of the executive team over at Obsidian now were the ones behind them. And so now seeing them kind of get to make what would have been their follow-up to Fallout 1 and 2 is really, really cool. Like, it feels like it belongs in that universe, just the way it's written, the combat, some of the wacky guns you can get in there, the scenarios that play out. It really does feel like a true successor to those original 90s Fallout titles. And AC Valhalla, I didn't expect to like that as much either. I really loved Odyssey. I'm in the camp of, I think that's one of the best Assassin's Creed games out there. I think it represented what the series needed to become. But I also get the argument that at the same time, it probably should have just been a new series because it is a full-on role-playing game now. Mm-hmm. And Valhalla builds on that. I love any game that lets me build settlements and just do ridiculous, stupid side quests. I was telling everybody before we got started today that I have found myself just blowing through the main story because it's so freaking long. But I run into the same problem that I run into with a lot of Ubisoft games, and that's that it has like artificial lengtheners inserted into like, oh, you got to grind out, or they're hoping you're going to get annoyed enough to buy an XP booster. And I feel like you get XP really generously in this game if you just go do some of the side stuff. They're just not actually given to you as side quests. You have to seek them out yourselves. They're considered mysteries on the map. World events, I think, is what they're called. So, okay, that's cool, but it's not like it does keep I don't even open up my quest log anymore. I just go from main quest to main quest, and I hit things along the way. I found myself going after chests more and more, though, because I really want to build those settlements, man. Like, I'm ranking people's houses by how much they're annoying me in the game. And, of course, if there was... I guess Call of the Sea. If you haven't played it, it's really fun. It's a charming puzzle game. Some of the puzzles are actually a little challenging to figure out. You have to do a lot of reading and listen to like musical cues and stuff in it. I really like it. No combat at all. It's basically like Uncharted, the puzzle game. which made it really, really cool. And it's got some mythology behind it too. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but you'll find it when you get about a third of the way through it. You'll start hitting those mythological elements, which makes it really, really cool. I did not expect any of that. All I saw was the initial trailer, and I saw the first level of gameplay a couple months later. So going completely blind, it's probably my favorite indie game of the year. It's on Xbox Game Pass right now. And of course, Beyond Light, guys. Like, y'all knew it was coming. Y'all all knew Beyond Light was coming.
I mean, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? You know?
I mean, at this point, if you like what Bungie is doing with Destiny, Beyond Light is just amazing for you. If you don't like it, it's probably not going to win you over, and that's okay. Like, they're making the decision to cater towards the more hardcore fan base, I feel, with this expansion. Shadowkeep was kind of like, hey, everybody come. Like, we're throwing a new light now, but it's very much, hey, if you really want to dive in and focus on making builds and playing this like it's a space run and gun RPG, then this is the expansion for you. Like, the game is going to be geared more towards you. And I mean, revenue wise, like, it was successful. It finished as like the 6th highest earner on Steam this year, I think. That's crazy for something that came out in October that's not called Cyberpunk. That's crazy. Or excuse me, came out in November, not October, mid-November. That's crazy. But
you know, if you didn't list 4 of the games, I would have said is the only game you played freaking Destiny.
So it's funny because like a lot of my close friends think that too, and I'm like, no, I play a lot of bigger games, but most of these I've gotten to in probably the last month or so. After I spent a whole month with Beyond Light and got through it, like, I've just been powering through other games. Because a lot of the beginning of this year was catching up on the backlog from last year. So getting to spend so much time with RPGs in the back half of the year really, really made me happy. But yeah, that's my top 5.
Nice.
Yeah,
So.
It's a good top 5.
Yeah, you sent me that list. You emailed me the list, and you're like, I think you're gonna hate my list or something. You said something like that, and I was like, I looked at your list, I'm like, no. From what I know about you, Josh, this is seems pretty standard, except for Wasteland 3. But then, like, I remembered we had a conversation on Arsenal X where you said,
I've been beating the drum about Wasteland like the back half of the year. Like, go play it. It's on Game Pass. If you're on PS4 or PC, you can get it for. Well, it's on Game Pass PC too. If you're on PS4, you can get it for like $25.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good. It's not like as good as Divinity or like Pillars of Eternity, but it's still pretty damn good. It makes me really excited for whatever In Exile has in works next.
Yeah. So, but yeah, dude, if Destiny wasn't on your list, I would have been concerned.
I genuinely almost left it off because, like I explained, I feel weird putting expansions on there because, as far as I'm concerned, that's an ongoing game, and it's just like, oh well, Destiny could go on it every year. Yeah. So if I was going by that, I would have thrown Tell Me Why on there as my 5th instead of Beyond.
My thing is like I feel like something like Destiny with Beyond Light, it's almost like they're introducing a new game, whereas something like what's a game that got an expansion? I guess like something with The Witcher, like when it got Blood and Wine and what Heart of Stone or whatever. Like, those are just more game. That's just more game. But Destiny, I feel like if Bungie was under Activision, Beyond Light definitely would have been the start of Destiny 3.
Yeah.
And sure. That's kind of how I felt. And I was talking with Nerd Journalist about the Wastelanders expansion for Fallout 76, and I'm like, that kind of feels like the same thing, where like it's almost like a retooling, a reboot type thing.
Oh, Wastelanders was absolutely a reboot. Like, I tried playing it at launch and I didn't like it. I came back for Wastelanders, especially with it being free. And it's like, okay, this feels like what the game should have been at launch. It's still not amazing, but they've worked on it all year. Like, Steel Dawn just came out. I kind of want to go jump back into it. But yeah.
Yeah. And like, Fortnite Chapter 2 made our big list, and I was like, well, Fortnite's still like a battle royale, but then I started reading into it, and I was talking to people who were playing it, and like, they added and retooled a lot of stuff from Chapter 1, and I was like, well, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And if we're gonna add Beyond Light and Wastelanders onto this list, I feel like Fortnite Chapter 2 should probably be on that list too, because I know a lot of people played that on our team. So
Yeah, for sure.
LeRon, we're heading to you.
Well,
oh, sorry, Jesse.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that was the thing, is like I had a really hard time because like part of me wanted to put like, you know, Tony Hawk and stuff on my top 10, but I'm like, well, but is that like, I mean, yeah, it technically that collection came out this year, but is that really a game that, you know, that we can consider a game of this year? You know, like there's a lot of that kind of situation going on too. Like,
I feel like with the
I
work,
feel like most of Switch's games were like, you know, like re-releases or something, you know, this year
like
too.
Pikmin,
So I had a hard
like Pikmin
time.
3, like if somebody picked Pikmin 3 on Switch, I would have been like, no, dude, that's a re-release with some extra content.
Yeah.
That's not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, no
Yeah.
offense to
Yeah.
Pikmin 3, it's a great game, but like,
Yeah.
it also came out like 5 years ago on the Wii U on a platform nobody played it on. So
Yeah.
glad you guys are all playing it now.
Okay, that's why you had those thoughts and concerns about Pikmin 3 back when they were saying it was coming soon. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I never had
Yeah,
a Wii. I never had a Wii U, so I missed. Honestly, I've never played Pikmin 2. I played Pikmin, but I've never played Pikmin 2.
I love Pikmin 2 so much.
And
Yeah.
I completely missed Pikmin 3.
Yeah.
I really want a collection.
Pikmin 3, I feel like, is the weakest of the 3 games, but it's still a really great game. I just think managing 3 characters with 3 different sets of Pikmin and, you know, I think that's a little bit too much for what the original idea of the game was, but I still think it's a great game. So, also
Good.
one
But,
of like 3 games worth using the Wii Remote Nunchuck with. LeRon, we're gonna go to you. Your top 5.
Okay, cool. All right. So, quick disclaimer. I know everyone that tunes in to my Twitch stream, they're always see me play Monster Hunter with the occasional splash of Cyberpunk. But guess what? Monster Hunter is not in my top 5 list. And the reason why I'm saying that right now, because even though the expansion came out and it basically was a whole new experience for the game. My personal reason for why I did not put it on there is because Iceborne basically felt like the completed version of Monster Hunter. It felt like not only was it a remix, but it was complete ending to the storyline. So that's why I didn't put it on there, even though technically Monster Hunter World is probably going to be my game of the year for a couple more years until Monster Hunter 6 comes out. But that's it. So
Iceborne though, based on what we said about Wastelanders and Beyond Light,
yes,
was eligible.
It is eligible, and as a matter of fact, honestly, because of Iceborne, like Capcom was able to sell another 5 million units of Monster Hunter World because of Iceborne. I mean, you know, part of it is because you had to have the base game, but still, you know, like an extra 5 million units. So yay! All right, so here's my top 5. Number 5 for me was Hades on Nintendo Switch. Now, Hades was one of those games that's been out for a hot minute because it was an early release. I don't play early release games, and I don't feel like I've never felt like an early release game is technically a game until they turn around and say it's official, it's on every system that's intended to be on, and go get it. You know,
I agree.
When it's early access, so when it's on any place is on early access. That's why I didn't consider games like Grounded as well.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Which would easily be in my top 5 if it was an actual release.
yeah. So I got Hades on the Switch because the prices look nice for one, but and I knew I wanted to play it because I love Supergiant.
Yep.
They're an amazing studio, and I can't wait to see what they've got going on in the future. But the thing about Hades is that I liked the dungeon crawling aspect of it. Gave me those Diablo 3 vibes. And you know, I don't think they classify it as a rogue, but it definitely has a rogue quality to it because the map keeps changing and stuff like that. You have an opportunity to, like, if you die. Wait, no, actually, I'm getting that confused with something else. You die, you just start over. But the action is solid. You'll find yourself balancing between 4 different weapons and things like that, and creating your own play style for how you do things. And also Hades' art style, the Hades art style, the narrative And the voice acting was phenomenal. I really enjoyed Hades. My number 4 was Resident Evil 3, which I actually played on the PC. Yes, it's a remake, but it's a remake of probably one of my top 2 favorite Resident Evil games, honestly. Now, yeah, this is a sore subject for a lot of people because, yes, for everything it did right, it is like it took away 3 different things. Like everyone's always bitching about the clock tower being missing and stuff like that, or the graveyard scene with the giant worm. But guess what? Do you really miss it? I don't think so. But man, Resident Evil 3 was a ride for me. I enjoyed it, and I definitely enjoyed like the surprises and the different twists that they took with the story and everything. And also they actually did a good job of actually canonizing some of the what if stuff from the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis game back in the day. You know, they got rid of the quick time action events, which I was happy for. Well, not the quick time action events. I'm sorry, like the choose your own adventure aspects where, like, for example, do you jump through this window to get away from Nemesis or do you stay and fight? Stuff like that, you know. The overall design was nice because basically I heard rumors that technically what Capcom was trying to do was they were trying to release the Resident Evil 2 remake and the Resident Evil 3 remake at the same time, if not in a same bundle together, and call it like the Resident Evil Raccoon City Chronicles, where it would basically be Leon, Claire's adventure plus Jill and Carlos's adventure and stuff like that. So the whole package just felt good. So, you know, like when you're playing Resident Evil 3 the remake and you're going through stuff and you're actually seeing the same assets and stuff from Resident Evil 2. I know people complained about that, but you know, I had no problem because guess what? It's all in Raccoon City during the same 96-hour time event before Raccoon City gets wiped off the map and stuff like that. So the fact that they borrowed, you know, same assets and stuff like that, you know, including the zombies, I didn't really care about that. I didn't. It wasn't a big enough point for me to bitch about, you know, because in all seriousness, like Resident Evil 3 is one of my favorite games, so maybe there's some bias in it, but ultimately, it was a fun experience. I loved all the challenges, all the change-ups and stuff like that. And they even did some pretty unique stuff, like technically in the mid chapter of the game, how Jill gets infected with the T virus. That was a stroke of genius because it actually played better and seemed better overall. The action was good. Honestly, I don't think there was much I can really like discount from Resident Evil 3. You know, I get it. I get it. There's a lot of people out there. There are upset, diehard Resident Evil fans that, you know, I was like, well, what about all the content that was missing and stuff like that? You won't miss it. You honestly won't miss it. And it's on, and it's still on sale on certain platforms. I believe it's on sale right now on Steam for like under $20.
You can still get the OG game too. I believe that's been ported.
Yeah, it's been ported. Yeah, and you know what? And in all seriousness, if you're looking for an experience of something challenging, but you know you want the whole Resident Evil 3 story, like just go online. People have like games that they've already modded and created that basically give you the same experience and then some. You know, bigger challenges and stuff like that. So you know, honestly, get Resident Evil 3, like it's not $60 right now, so it's definitely a good time to get it. You know, so I mean, you know, I don't know what you guys are bitching about. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, my number 3 pick, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, this is one of those games where I knew I was going to get it and play it, but I was actually holding off until the PC version was coming out. What changed my timetable, though, is I got a PS5. So then it was like, okay, I need a library of games to start playing and stuff like that. And Final Fantasy VII Remake I picked up on a buy two get one free sale that Target was having a couple months ago. And I knew I was going to enjoy it. I knew I was going to be nostalgic and everything. But my God, it blows me away. It's like playing Advent Children complete, except it's the game Final Fantasy VII. And you know, and everything. The battle system was probably the most unique thing that I'm enjoying about the game right now, because I was expecting just your classic turn-based battles and stuff like that. I'd seen early run demos of it, you know, and it looked like it was the same, you know, battle system with a slight tweak to it. But no, like the battle system in Final Fantasy VII Remake, that alone makes it seem like it's a brand new game in my opinion. No, I'm not too deep into it because there's been a couple of other games that have been stealing my time from beating it. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, The other thing that was really nostalgic about it is the music. And I mean, anybody who was watching the Game Awards, as soon as the orchestra played the battle theme for Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, man, this is Game of the Year, even though it didn't wind up getting Game of the Year. But it's something, anyone that's actually played Final Fantasy VII when it was a new game back on PS1, you know, like there's, it's going to grab you the moment you press start, you turn it on, and you hear the little Square Enix like Final Fantasy, you know, fanfare music before you start the game. It's going to grab you. Artwork is great. Like I said, battle system is good. Voice acting, phenomenal. You know, it basically, like I said, it basically looks like Advent Children Complete, except it's Final Fantasy VII. Number 2. This is going to be controversial for you guys. And by you guys, I mean anybody who's listening to us right now. My number 2 pick is Cyberpunk 2077. But there's a caveat. There's a caveat. I'm playing the PC version. I understand. There are people out there that are playing base systems right now, and they are having the worst time of their life right now.
Yep.
I feel you. I understand. I really do. But as a moment of pride right now, like I picked the PC version because I need to have the experience I need to have the version that was going to give me the best experience. So I picked the PC version. And before anybody comes at me talking about, oh well, that's because you got all the advanced hardware and stuff like that. My graphics card is 2 generations behind. So so I mean, you know, it's not like I have like the full bells and whistles system. But
you simply need the processing power for that game.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? That's another thing too. Tech talk with LeRon real fast. I have an AMD CPU, so I had to go in and modify hex code because the game's not optimized for AMD CPUs. So I had to go in and modify the hex code just to open up multi-threading. So yeah. So there's another takeaway too. Just note Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series, and PlayStation 5 also have AMD chips. So technically you're not getting the full threaded optimization. I'm pretty sure CD Projekt Red's already working on that. That's probably one of the headaches they're dealing with right now with the base consoles, but there's another thing, just so you know. But anyway, going back to Cyberpunk 2077, why it's number 2 on my list. It's my most highly anticipated game. It was the reason why I put the money into upgrading my hardware. Honestly, I mean, you know, people can say I have a bias for CD Projekt Red in general. I mean, you know, like The Witcher 3 didn't do me any wrong, but The Witcher 3 was probably, I played The Witcher 3 after Wild Hunt released, so we got the perfect optimized version of that game. So, you know, it is what it is. But CP77, the fact that I like cyberpunk, the genre in general, I've never even played the board game this thing is based off of, but now I have an interest in the actual board game. I've actually started looking some stuff up. So character creation, as diverse as we thought, yeah. You guys can call me a big fat phony right now because I remember saying on one of the previous podcasts that I was just going to go with the default character, get right into the game. I spent 45 minutes creating a character when I turned it on. But I had to see everything, and yes, I mean everything. I had to see everything. Yeah, the game is great. And
40 minutes of that was picking out his pubic hair treatment.
Yeah, and trying to figure out how large the below the belt region was going to be. Yeah, it was.
You should have gotten a buff or debuff depending on what you went with.
You know what? That is the one thing I will say about the customization. It didn't seem like you'd actually change your guy's stature. It didn't seem like you could make him more muscular. It seemed like your default.
I wanted to play as a giant fat guy.
It was kind of weird. Like, I really liked the character creation in it, but in other ways, I'm like, man, this could have been a lot better. Like once you got out of the facial region.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's because of the you know, basically they were trying to keep it familiar for people who are familiar with their games. So I mean, The Witcher, you technically changed some things about Geralt's appearance, but you couldn't change like his overall physique and his build and stuff like that.
It really like grinds my gears that you're locked into a hairstyle and like your facial choices when you can't change that in game. Like that's one of my it's a very small nitpick, but after like 60 hours I'm sitting there because I realized after like I was so engrossed in the game I didn't realize until after I finished the prologue And the end of Act 1, oh shit, because the colors showed up differently on my screen when I was doing character creation, his goatee is not the same color as the hair. It's got like
it had highlights,
giant patches of fucking gold in it. I'm like, oh my, I have to look at this. And so like after hour 70, I'm just ready to like murder myself and my character. This is terrible. Like, he looks like John Wick in every single respect except for the fucking gold in the beard.
I will say this. I did waste a lot of time in Cyberpunk because I actually played a good like 15 hours of the game, and then like just happened to be at my apartment looking at my character appearance. I was like, I need to start over and respec my guy.
Yeah, like
of nightmares. I rewind my save for like 4 hours and still wanted to punch myself in the face.
Wow. Yeah, like honestly, overall, like games in general, it's so disappointing to me. Like after playing, a lot of the WWE games and like the character creators in those, it's still to this day that no one has caught on that. Please let us do layering with facial hair and all those things, because it's like, I hate that it's always the same thing. It's a generic goatee or a generic, this kind of sideburn or that kind of. It's like, dude, let me layer things and make each piece of that a different color if I want to, because, like these generic things are, like it's just not realistic.
Yeah. Well, you know what? What you're talking about right there, that's the joys of having it on PC and being able to go into the modding community and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can change that mid game and not have to worry about it affecting your save file and stuff like that. And then if you don't like it, you can turn it off and put something else on. That's the one thing I love, and I feel like, and I really wish. I know why the console systems don't do it as much, because there are people out there that abuse, certain things and stuff like that. But I really wish that they would actually organize something better for people to actually mod and stuff like that. Like mods typically never ruin an experience for
that's why I like, not to cut you off, like that's why I like what Bethesda did with Skyrim Special Edition and Fallout 4, was bringing that modding support to console. And it was handled in a really tasteful way. Like, you could design your mods specifically to work on console. I really like that. Like, that's one thing I think the Creation Engine really excels at. And I would hope if CD Projekt Red takes anything away from this whole debacle, like, look at that and be like, okay, so we're already a little ways off. Like, maybe we don't enable this on Xbox One and PS4, but once we have the next-gen versions out, maybe we give them the modding tools with the first big DLC in the fall or something.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we do, or next spring. Like, that we've seen can bring people back. That brought me back to Fallout 4. I went and did a whole nother run through the game when mods were enabled for it. Same with Skyrim. Like, it will bring people back to it on console, because this is still such a new concept for console-only gamers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually why I had downloaded Skyrim. I've played very, very little of Skyrim. Like, it was a game that I always wanted to get into, but I just never had the time to dedicate to it. And like, I've really been having the itch to get into it again. And so I did download it, and I haven't gotten to it yet, but that is one of the things that I'm kind of excited about, is like that, that having that modding stuff. And, and here's my thought on this. Being someone lately who's been playing, Cold War, Call of Duty Online, and playing a lot of Fortnite lately online, is that if people want to mod and cheat in games, they're gonna find a way. Like, there's these companies now that basically it's this little adapter thing that plugs into your console, and then some of them even have nice readout displays, so you can actually program each game when it will read what game you're playing, and then it will give you a whole checklist of things mods you can turn on and off. And it's that easy now for people to cheat, and like, you can tell when people are cheating. especially in Fortnite, like so many times I'll be like one-shotted with a shotgun from like halfway across the map, and they'll be like jumping, falling from something and doing a one-shot headshot, perfect shot from far away. And it's like, yeah, obviously these people have head modding or head glitches or whatever the auto aim stuff on. And so like there's so many crappy ways for people, easy ways for people to get the crappy mods on games and and just wreck the game completely.
Yeah.
But those kind of games, have the opportunity to better, from mods, because it's not necessarily something where you're dealing with a multiplayer situation. And so that's why I've never really quite understood the lack of that kind of modding stuff, like on console. Like I get it when it's a multiplayer game, like you don't people to be able to have an easy way to cheat, or even slightly the like notion that the developers think that it's okay that you do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to more games like Fallout and stuff, people should be able to have fun and just do their thing with mods and stuff like that, and like Josh said, I do think that it's an awesome thing that they encourage that stuff, and and want people to be able to have different ways ultimately to enjoy their games. Like you can make it completely a different experience in a lot of ways, so.
Yeah, I will say this, because there's a lot of companies that embrace it, like the creative team behind City Skylines, the big competitor SimCity. They encourage mods, and they even created a complete comprehensive mod expansion for the console versions. The PC version didn't really need it because people are going to make the mods themselves anyway. Yeah. But they made that. But kind of the catch-22 sometimes though is it seems like sometimes, like if they're not careful, like with the mention of City Skylines, it seems like they're letting the modders, complete their game. That's the only negative thing I can see about it. Besides the fact that like someone is going to find exploits to get around like the basic stuff. They'll find ways to give themselves like $1 million trillion in GTA Online if the mods happen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
can see like when you start getting into like content that's that's copyrighted and stuff like that being brought in, like that kind of stuff is what I understand that like too being an issue, but even locked content, content that's in the game but it's not supposed to be available because it's time locked or is like DLC specific and stuff like that, which that's a sore subject that we'll talk about some other time, because I'm all for it. If I spend $60 or $70 for a game, I need to have access to whatever's on the game. Like if it's hiding on the disc and I can't play it until next year, that's a problem.
Yeah.
All right. And my number one pick is Spider-Man Miles Morales for PlayStation 5. All right, so I needed a game to play on my PS5, and Miles Morales was the best pick for me at that time because I wasn't trying to play Call of Duty. I was not trying to play any sports games. I needed something, so I picked up Miles Morales, and let me tell you, this one particular game by itself is definitely a good sell for why you need to get a next gen console, because not even bypassing the fact that it's a continuation of the first Spider-Man game that came out on PS4 a couple of years ago. The game actually has a couple of different modes. You've got performance mode and you've got fidelity mode, and this is where you can actually start seeing the power of your system, particularly the PS5, because fidelity mode gives you not the active ray tracing, but it gives you ray tracing qualities. Plus, it gives you a whole bunch of different features. It locks you at 30 frames per second, which I thought was going to be a big deal for me, given that this is supposed to be that 4K 60 powerhouse and stuff like that. But the funny thing is, when I actually turned performance mode on to get the 4K 60, I was like, oh, this is this is kind of messed up, and I put it right back in fidelity mode. There was just so many different things about it that I was like, you know what, locked 4K 30. I'm fine. Okay, so Miles Morales. Okay, so a lot of controversy about this game because it was making a whole bunch of different people's lists, like official lists, like the Game Awards had this game on a couple of lists for, and my whole thing was it was about the timing. But, basically the way our top 5 was done over at Boss Rush Games is for all the games we played this year. So, so I love the phrasing because that means that it makes it open game and it doesn't discount like games that have been out all year, based because it's only been out for I think it was barely out for 7 weeks now that we're finally in 2021. Miles Morales, though, wonderful addition, maybe conclusion to the Spider-Man 4 story before the next Spider-Man sequel comes out. It's PS4, I'm sorry, Spider-Man PS4, before the actual sequel comes out. I'm hoping there's DLC. There might be DLC coming for it, but this game. Okay, if you thought the last Spider-Man game was going to pull at your emotions and your heartstrings and stuff like that, Miles Morales is going to do that like triple. There's so much stuff going on, and given that you're taking it in the perspective of a junior superhero, like this guy is basically getting into his own to become his own superhero and stuff like that, and he's going through some challenges that, I mean, shoot, like honestly, I feel like the original Peter Parker's challenges weren't this crazy as a teenager when he was Spider-Man, when he was coming out of Spider-Man and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's a fun game. You can beat it in about 8 hours, but just because you can beat it in about 8 hours doesn't mean it's not worth the $50 price tag that's on sale for it. And in all seriousness, I feel like sometimes what you need is a game that actually will only pull you away from the real world for a short amount of time. If you need a 120-hour experience, get Cyberpunk. If you need an 80-hour experience, get Final Fantasy VII. If you need a 6-hour experience, get Resident Evil 3. If you need a time waster, get Hades. Notice that's all 5 of my games from the top 5 or from the top 5 list.
LeRon, I like that you said that Miles Morales is the perfect example of why to get a next gen console, because I agree with you. It's one of those, like I saw when it got announced that it was coming to PS4 as well. People go, "Oh my god, it's not going to be true next gen." It's the same shit we were hearing about Halo, right?
Yeah.
And it's not going to be real next gen. It's on both. No, this is actually a really smart way of making the argument for why you should invest $500. If you care about the performance, just like Cyberpunk, if you care about playing the game the best way you possibly can, you care about that top-notch performance, you want to fork out for the better system. I bought a Series X this year to play Destiny and Cyberpunk the best way I could on console without buying a PC. And Miles Morales, it's the same way, because let's be honest, Demon's Souls, I think personally looks better and is more next gen, but it is a remake, and that is a game that is certainly not for everybody. Miles Morales is a game that kids and adults alike are going to enjoy. There is that emotional story. Miles, over the last decade since he was introduced in the comics, has really become one of the beating hearts of the entire Marvel universe.
For real.
And you're exactly right that he does face challenges that Peter Parker didn't. One, storytelling's evolved, let's be honest. Since the 50s and 60s, storytelling's evolved. But also, Miles has challenges that are unique to him as a half-black, half-Hispanic teenager.
Yeah.
And we see parts of that in the Spider-Verse movie, but it's shown a lot in his comic and in Champions. And I mean, this is a guy who, it doesn't happen here, but in the comics, loses his entire universe and is brought to the main Marvel universe in some weird trickery that happens because of a hamburger. That's a real thing, because of a hamburger. And
hamburger sounds really good right now, though, by the way.
It does.
Just
anything.
I think that the voice actor that they have for Miles especially embodies his spirit so much.
Yeah.
I love this universe. I know there were some confusing comments after it was revealed at the PS5 reveal of, oh, well, this is kind of like, it's not a full game and this and that. Like Insomniac and Sony both kind of danced around it for a couple days. It's like, no, you could say an 8-hour single player game is a full game. I'm okay with that. Not everything needs to be a Cyberpunk or an Assassin's Creed or an ongoing like Destiny. Holy shit, I want to sit down and enjoy a 6 to 8 hour game. I will. It is up to me to dictate if I feel like my money was well spent. I would rather pay $60 for an 8-hour experience that I don't put down for that entire 8 hours, and love every single second of it than have a ton of filler looking at you every Ubisoft game ever.
Right.
I'd rather have that clear, tight experience I've come to expect from Sony's first parties.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking on that for a second, you know, like there's probably a lot of people who are probably, you know, like giving it the side eye and like this could have been DLC for the original Spider-Man game. That's true. It could have been DLC for the original Spider-Man game. Like, you know, there was a lot of talk that it may be DLC for the original Spider-Man game. But in all seriousness, like based off of what the time and effort they put into it, while they were also remastering and remixing the original PS4 Spider-Man for next gen, you know, I say it holds its weight on its own. Like, you know, spend $50 for it if you just want to play this, or spend $70 and get the entire bundle. You know,
this is something that feels like it started out as a DLC and grew into its own thing, just like Lost Legacy did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
Because I don't think anybody who played the season pass of Spider-Man PS4 did not sit there and go, "Well, this feels a little lackluster." They teed it up for Miles to be in the DLC, and then he's not.
Yeah,
I like this. I like that he got his own game. Make the next game though. Don't call it Spider-Man 2. Call it Spider-Men. There you go. Peter and Miles. Boom.
That's if.
Yeah, see, that's my
a real
problem
comic
with...
name too, by the way. Spider-Men. First time Peter and Miles meet each other.
I think. Yeah. I honestly think though, basically with the Miles Morales game, like if you've played the game and completed it, I think Miles Morales is going to become its own series. I think it is, because there's just too much about it. There's too much going on. There's a lot of wonderful call-outs to like Miles Morales' villains that also happen to be Spider-Man's villains from the original universe, but now like they're all intertwined together, and it makes sense, you know.
And it plays so different with his abilities too. Not to cut you off again.
Oh no, you're fine. The one thing that I really thought was cool about this whole thing is that Insomniac found a way to make this entire thing work. They did kind of rewrite canon, you know, but this is basically like if we want to play the whole Marvel like game here, you know, like this is another multiverse as far as I'm concerned.
It literally is, because this Peter Parker exists in his own comic and has crossed over to the main universe already.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 100% multiverse is a thing in this.
Yeah, there we go. As a matter of fact, every single game with the exception of Cyberpunk. Actually, Cyberpunk, if you look in the right places, is actually on sale. You can find it for like $10 off right now. But every single game that's on my top 5, so Hades, Resident Evil 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Cyberpunk 2077, and Miles Morales is not on sale. That's the only one. But all those other games, they're on sale right now for, you know, at least until the 5th of January. So like if you guys are looking for some ideas and stuff to pick up, you need an extra game to play, you know, pass some time with. Like I said, Hades is your time waster, especially if you get it on the Switch. And the cool thing about it is if you already have it on PC and you buy it on the Switch, it's got cross save now. So like you can pick up and go wherever you decide to go. You outside the house on your Switch, pick it up. If you're back home and you're on PC, pick it up. So that's it.
Next, Jesse, we're gonna move on to your list.
Okay, yeah. So again, like I had changed mine a little bit from what I had sent in previously, but
Boo.
Well, it's for the better, because like honestly, like there was just some games that I had played that I, you know, loved, but I just lately I haven't been, honestly, over the holiday I hadn't thought about much other than just hanging out and stuff. Like I was pretty dormant on social media and everything for the most part, but so my number 5 is Call of the Sea. I haven't finished it yet, but that's the first game that I came back to once I got home and could play some more games and stuff during this holiday. And like for me, it's really hard for me to get into these kind of games, especially if there's too much reading. But this game, like they don't bombard you with tons of pointless reading that isn't like doesn't really, you know, like do a whole lot for what you're trying to do or figure out, or like they really seem to cut the fat in this game and just really make it so everything that you read or that you look into is actually pertinent to what the story is. And so like that alone like really made the experience of this game much more easy, that I honestly think even people who aren't much for walking sims will really like this game if they give it a shot. Like the story I really enjoy a lot. Like I love the whole, you know, the setting of the island and like the mysterious, you know, things that you're encountering, and like, you know, like just the puzzle solving in this game alone is just so much fun and like difficult at times, but a lot of the times I've been like, oh, of course, obviously it was this or obviously that, or you know, like you have a good sense of like the puzzles of what you're supposed to be doing, but maybe you don't quite, you know, understand what, you know, what kind of arrangement you need to do for them, and then you'll find something later that will kind of like pull it together. They just do a really good job of giving you like just enough that you can maybe you know, feel like you can finish the puzzle without maybe the next, you know, like hint or whatever, but you still want to figure out more about, you know, what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, like I definitely, if you're, like I said, if you're into walking sims, like I think this is probably the one of the best ones this year. But even if you're not, like you just like, you know, puzzle solving games or whatever, or you just want something where you just kind of learn a nice story that you don't have to put a whole lot of, you know, like it doesn't have like, you know, action fighting or whatever. You just want to be able to like kind of learn a story and play along with it and just enjoy it. Like I think this is just a perfect game for that, you know, like that. And like Tell Me Why is you know, like both of these games I think are really good games for that this year. My number 4 is Ghost Runner. Now this is like a game that I really, you know, didn't know a whole lot about. But like, you know, I started watching a little bit of stuff about it and all that, and I was like, right away I was like, okay, like in a way this game ended up being kind of what I was hoping Doom Eternal was gonna be for me. Like it's very much like Doom Eternal in some ways, but like almost mixed with like Super Hot. So it's like if Super Hot was just a, you know, a game where you have a sword, but it was all in real time. Like you're not really, you know, it's not like when you move they move, but it's in slow motion. It's like in full real time, you know, motion. So it is definitely a very difficult game, but it is so satisfying, like flying through the air and just slashing through guys, and then, you know, being like, I gotta move here so I don't get shot, and I gotta dash here, and then, you know, throwing your grappling hook to fly to the next place and try to figure out, you know, where you've got to be jumping so you don't get hit by the next person shooting at you. Like it's an intense game, but like much like what, you know, Doom Eternal did, but I feel like for me anyways, personally, they nailed what Doom Eternal was trying to do, but just did it so much better. And I just like, I love the whole setting. It's very cyberpunky kind of setting. It's like I said, I honestly, I think it's almost like a Super Hot mixed with Doom, like with Doom. Like it's kind of the Doom feel of how you play, but but it's very much like Super Hot, where it's like, you're trying to dodge things and constantly be aware of your surroundings and where you want to make your next move. But you don't have the luxury of the time to really sit and think it out. You've got to just kind of, almost like a Dark Souls or, whatever. You have to beat your head against the wall sometime. But like I said, it and when you pull it all off, it is very satisfying. And again, like, I just love the setting of this game, and just like it just looks amazing. It feels amazing. Like, the controls, in the type of game that it is, like, I feel like the controls are very, very good. And, fortunately, that makes it much better, because it is a game that you really have to have those controls, precise and perfect. And I think they just nailed it on all levels with this game. I unfortunately, a lot of my games that I pick, I haven't quite been able to finish, but like these top 5 are like the games that if I haven't finished them, they're games that I like am for sure going to finish this year, over, anything else. And my number 3 is Gears Tactics. Like, okay, so Gears 5 for me is personally has been my favorite Gears game out of all the entire franchise. Like, I loved, for the first time, I feel like I really, really cared about the main character. I'll be honest, in the past, like, I've enjoyed the story overall, but I've never really truly got into the characters as much as I did with Gears 5. Like, I actually really, really like what they've done with the story and, who we're following. So, like Gears Tactics came along, and I was just kind of like, this sounds really interesting, having this kind of game be done in the Ghost or the XCOM's kind of style. And I'll be honest, I think either Gears Tactics is right there with Gears 5 with me, or in some ways I actually think I kind of like it more. Just because, like, I like how well they did all the the playing out of a situation. Like, like, obviously you're clicking your person, you're moving them, and you're doing an action, and then the engine is kind of playing the rest of it out. Like, like where you'd normally be doing that in engine, actually doing all the attacks and everything in the movement yourself, the engine's kind of doing it for you. And I think, like, story wise and like how things are playing out, it just works really, really well for this kind of game. Like, I actually really like the idea of almost helping the story along and not being the one who's like fumbling around, being horrible at the game, but still managing. Like, it just makes for a really smooth storytelling.
Yeah, I really like that too. Like, Gears Tactics missed my top 5 by 1 spot. But yeah, it's like you said, like, just positioning the guys and watching the story kind of play out instead of, I mean, how many times can you watch Marcus or Kate or JD put their fingers up to their ears like they're talking, and you slow walk to the next, arena to murder a bunch of people? You know what I mean? It's nice to see all this kind of play out in cutscenes after missions, and kind of customizing your guys and watching their skill trees grow, and just really kind of having fun with the customization too. That's the other big thing, is like the customization in Gears Tactics is so deep, and like you could spend a 2 or 3 hour PlayStation just customizing your guys,
Yeah, it's Like, yeah, and that was like kind of part of, so I was gonna go into is like, yeah, the depth of stuff in that game is just phenomenal. And like in the regular Gears games, obviously there is some things that you can customize and stuff like that. And maybe I feel like that's been a bigger thing, like as we've progressed through the stories. And like they've been adding more and more stuff, like, being able to be Batista and stuff in the new Gears, Gears 5 updates and all that has been really, cool and interesting. And just being able to, have like full on, voiceover for the game, like completely different. Like they've really been doing, I feel like, what they can with the main games, doing that kind of stuff. But for this, like, I feel like it really gives them the opportunity to just not hold back at all. Like, just really be able to do whatever they want to do, and make things just fully functional, and have all kinds of things you can kind of worry about, and to make your gameplay different.
And it's the perfect genre too, right? Like, I mean, the tactics the tactics squad based shooter like XCOM is like the perfect outlet for us Gear spinoff.
Yeah. And they just did it so perfectly. Like, everything. Like, on every level, this game is just done so perfectly for the genre of game that it is, and...
Yeah, I mean, I haven't beaten it yet, but I hope there's a sequel.
Me neither, but... Yeah, I haven't either, but I am, like, again, like, these games, I am focusing on this year, making sure that I finish these top 5, because they're like, there's a reason that they're on this list for me. And and really my gaming time has really been the main culprit this year. But I'm definitely focusing on that, because I did play a little bit more of it the other day. As this is like, Gears Tactics has been my game that I've been playing on xCloud. Like, whenever I'm gone and I have my phone and I can play on the go, like, this is the game that I've basically been playing, and that's it. So my number 2,
Well, actually, before you get to your number 2, like, I just installed this that game after talking to Corey about it last night. Yes,
Gears Tactics.
Yeah. The biggest thing about it was I kept seeing like the game in like my recommendations, but every time I would go to like look up some information on it, it wouldn't show me any actual gameplay. So I was like, I don't trust anything just off of like a story trailer. I don't.
Especially an XCOM style game.
Yeah, because like, those kind of games are definitely about functionality and how well it does the things that you expect from it. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed, especially if you like XCOM style games. Like, I think they did a really good job. Like, this is it's very much like when Mario Rabbids came out, and I was right there with most people that were just like, okay, whatever. But the second I played that game, I was instantly like, I could not put that game down. And lately, it's been for Gears Tactics, whenever I have free time, I've been trying to play, put some more time into this game. Because it really is doing it for me, and, really hits on all the levels that I was hoping it would. So, all right. So my number 2, is Mortal Shell. I've heard some people, bring this game up and stuff recently. I think the problem is, you have a lot of the, Dark Souls and the Souls games that have been coming out recently. And, I like those games to a certain extent. I've never really been able to get into the Dark Souls games, really. For me, I absolutely loved Sekiro. That game was amazing, and I loved every second that I put into that game. but something about the Dark Souls games just never really did it for me. And this game is very much almost a clone of a Dark Souls game. But for whatever reason, the slight changes and the little personalities and the things that they've done to make it kind of stand out a little bit from the Dark Souls games has been just enough for me to really, really enjoy it. And like I jokingly thought to myself, like, this is my Souls game. Like, this is my Dark Souls.
It only takes one,
like,
right? I mean, I mean, that was Bloodborne for a lot of people. That was Sekiro for a lot of people, right? Like, it only takes one. Some people like the Surge.
Mm-hmm. I've tried, and that's the thing. I've tried basically. Like, I own almost every single Dark Souls game, but I just couldn't. I was hoping maybe the next one they made just the right changes that it will be for me, like, because I'll be honest, I really do want to be into those games, but they just, they, for whatever reason, they just couldn't quite do it for me. But, like Mortal Shell, like, they do just enough interesting stuff in it that really made me enjoy the gameplay. Ashen's another game that I really, really enjoyed. It's a very, very light version of a Souls game, but I really like that game too. Like, that's probably one of my favorite Souls games still to this day. But yeah, Mortal Shell, I really like what they did with the whole, like you have a life bar, and once that life bar is depleted, you're knocked out of your body, and now you're just running around as a soul that has like no protection whatsoever. If you get hit, you're basically you're dead permanently, and then you've got to restart the whole cycle over again. But the catch is if you can, either fight to stay alive and to get back to your body, your mortal shell, then you can then you replenish all your health as your human body form again, and then you can continue on. I really like that, and I really like that you can actually turn your soul and your body into like stone. So if you time it just right and someone goes to hit you, you can time it just right where you can actually freeze your motion that you're in the progress of doing. You can freeze it, let them attack you, their attack bounces off of you, and then unfreeze and continue through with your attack. So it's a very cool way of almost avoiding their attack, but letting you kind of wait for the right moment to finish your attack. But they also do have the ability to do your traditional parry, but this is kind of like a second alternative version of that you kind of can have as a secondary option, that can work really well to your advantage if you can juggle the two of them. So it is for me, I think what does it for me is it's kind of that little bit more of personality, and the idea of instead of you speccing your character and upgrading and upgrade trees to make your shell more powerful, you actually have similar to I guess Titanfall, where your Titan that you jump into, you've got different versions of that Titan, some that are faster but they're not quite as powerful, or you've got the one that's just a complete beast that can take a lot of damage and do a lot of damage, but it's slower. So they've kind of taken that whole idea and made it so as you unlock these different mortal shells, you can jump in in progress of the game while you're playing, you can actually go into the different shells to spec to what, kind of situation you're in. So instead of you just trying to build, a character towards a certain spec, you've got, different bodies that you can inhabit to kind of give you options for different parts of the game, or like what boss you're going against. Like, I really like that about this game, of kind of giving you those options of like unlocking bodies versus just worrying about specking a character to a certain way. You still do have like things that you unlock and all that in it, but
kinda,
I do like,
kind of reminds me a little bit of of Anthem in a little bit.
It's very like, I think that's what's unique about it, is it's very similar to a Destiny or a Anthem or like I said, Titanfall, where you've got these different characters that kind of are better for certain situations, but this game gives you the option to be able to jump into those characters when you feel like you need to, versus having to create a character for each class, and like be limited to that one character for that playthrough. Like, I really like that about this game. It just opens the game up, I feel like, so much more, and just makes it so much more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters, like the characters you're fighting against, they're just as creepy and weird and insane looking as any Dark Souls game has been too. Like, they really were able to mimic that part very well. I really do like the character models in this game. So yeah, like that game I've just been enjoying, and that and Tactics, I think, honestly, in the last couple of months I've been playing the most of. Which leads me to my number one game. So I absolutely if a open world game does it well to the point like where I really, really enjoy it, it has the potential to usually end up becoming one of my my top 5 games of the year. For me, like when Far Cry 5 came out, I know a lot of people really did not like that story and didn't really care for that a whole lot. But for me, like, Far Cry 5 ended up being, I think, my game of the year that year. Just because, like, I don't care about story so much as some people tend to. For me, like, when time's limited, if I just want a game that I can pop in, I can play, put some time in, and just say I had a lot of fun playing, right? Like, like what the story was, a lot of the times I don't care. Like, I just want something that's going to let me enjoy doing what I want to do and have fun doing it, and be a cool setting that, like, gives me the opportunity to have interesting, like, playthroughs or time, play times with the game. And Watch Dogs Legions definitely did that for me. Like, I don't really care about the story, but for me, like, that game is like, the interest and the fun in that game is more about just like the interactions with the world, and trying to figure out the puzzles of like how am I gonna do this encounter without having everyone after me, or like, because there's certain periods where when you're doing something you don't want to get everyone's attention, because then it makes the objective that you're trying to do so much harder to do, and a lot of the times it just ends up it truthfully just doesn't end up being as fun, because you got all these people's the people coming after you, and you just kind of lose sight of like the objective, and it just isn't as fun. So you wanna, like, I feel like this game is the first game in a long time where I really wanted to do things more stealthy and not just go in there with guns ablazing. And I just think they do a really good job of you know, the stealth stuff. And you know, and some people would probably say that they should, you know, with this, they've been, you know, this is the third game now. They've been doing this kind of stuff for a while. And I do think they do a lot of things much better than the previous games. Again, you know, like there is part of me that does wish the story was a little bit more interesting for me, but like overall, like just as a game that I can just pick up and play and just have fun doing it, like this game has been all of that stuff for me. Like I've had fun messing around with the different characters, and you know, and like trying to find different characters. And like honestly, this game is practically endless if you just decide that you want to recruit every single person that you run into. You could essentially just keep on creating side missions that are never ending for you, because every time you try to recruit someone, it gives you like 3 side missions. And so you can potentially just keep on creating a side mission, and it just will never end. Like it ends when you decide that you don't want to try to recruit someone anymore.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Odyssey did that. There's a lot of like randomly, well, not, you know, they're randomly generated side missions that you can go do and try to level up. So
yeah, and I've found like the core ideas of what you do in this game. Like I think they did a good job of it. I enjoy using the different, you know, drones and the different things, you know, perks that each character can have, and you know, and just having fun with mixing all the different things together has just been a blast for me. So
here's the question for you then. Is this game the most solid entry to the series? Because I enjoyed the first one, but I never picked up the second one because in all seriousness, I was kind of attached to Adrian. Was it Adrian or Aiden Pierce? I can't remember.
Aiden Pierce.
I was more attached to him, so I didn't just want to jump into the shoes of somebody else, you know. So I actually skipped that one, but it looks like you played all 3. So does it sound like it's the most solid entry in the series so far?
Okay, so like this is where it's kind of difficult, like because like I said, outside of story. Mm-hmm. Like story-wise, like the character that you're playing as, like, I mean, in this game, there is no set, like, main character, ultimately. Like, you are basically juggling a collection of people. Like, you know, like, you can play as whoever you want in this game. It really isn't a whole lot of, like, not normalcy, but there's just like, it just isn't about one character. It's about like a collective, like, for the most part. Honestly, like the only true like ongoing character in this is really the AI computer that you're dealing with, you know, for the most part. And you know, I feel like it's more about like the AI and everything that's going on with trying to, you know, prove your innocence, really. So, but like as far as the stories go, like I do really prefer those original ones for story wise, but as far as gameplay goes, like I think this one, in my opinion, is by far does the gameplay stuff the best. You know, like because I do like 1 and 2. Like I really did enjoy 2. I know a lot of people really did not like that game, but I did like, you know, the progression and improvement on gameplay that they did in the second one. And I did enjoy the story enough. But like when I look at this new one overall, like where the story is lacking, in my opinion, the gameplay and kind of the uniqueness of it makes up for a lot of that. So I honestly do think it is my favorite of the three, but I would have to say that it's very close with the first one for me as far as story goes. Like that first one still has a really, a good solid story.
Okay.
So
cool. So
yeah.
So I won't feel too guilty if I skip 2 and just play this one next.
Yeah, because this really is just a standalone. It, like, I mean, honestly,
well, Aiden is coming back in the DLC in the spring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't he make an appearance in the second game too, as DLC?
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he did at the end of because
he's getting a whole expansion.
Yeah.
You know what? That's nice.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
well,
I'll go
that's the
swing
thing.
by. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say is like, that's the thing is like I think if they really do bring some normalcy or some like a character to this to kind of focus on, even if it is DLC, like I think that could be really good for this game because like I said, like I think everything about this game I really like better than the last two, but it's the only thing it's lacking is just that story stuff. And if they can bring some story stuff to this and mix a great story with the best, like gameplay, like I mean, it's win-win in my opinion. So I, like I said, if you really just want to play a game that's just about fun, kind of screwing around, gameplay that's just fun to goof off in and play things the way you want to play it, I think this game is like a great game for that. So
nice.
And if you want story and stuff, well, like hopefully this expansion coming out will kind of give that kind of part that people are looking for as well for this game. So but yeah, so that's my top 5.
Nice. I'm going to kind of run through mine a little bit quicker. I think we're going to go over the games we're looking forward to next week on next week's show, just because we are running kind of short on time. My number 5 is I feel like some of the in my full top 10 list, I feel like some of these games would have been higher if I had spent more time in them, right? But just based on time played and not getting to do certain things and just running out of time, frankly, by the end of the year, I just this is how my top 5 are going. Cyberpunk 2077 is number 5. We talked extensively about that game here. I haven't really experienced any bugs. I'm really enjoying my time with it. Some of the kind of bells and whistles from the beginning, how it opened and stuff. It opened really well. I knew for sure it would be on my list based on that opening, but since then it's kind of lost some things for me, but I'm still enjoying the game a lot. I'm about 25 hours into it. I'm really, really enjoying it. I've kind of decided that like I want to do the main quest with through this Xbox One kind of playthrough, and is it? Hold on, I heard like some feedback. Okay, never mind. We're good. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I like the quest with Pan Am a lot.
Best girl right there.
She didn't want me because I'm a lady. It's fine.
Oh, she wanted me. She definitely wanted me.
Yeah, well, you guys are men. She doesn't like the ladies. So I'm really enjoying it. Did experience 2 bugs last week where I went and did the side quest for someone where they were sitting in a chair and then they were on the phone and then the phone got stuck in the chair and she started walking around with no phone in her hand because it was stuck in the chair, but she was still talking on the phone. And then when she went to go back to her chair, she ended up standing on the chair with the phone still in the back of the chair, and gave me the side quest.
See, like glitches like that are funny to me, though. I like those.
Yeah,
those aren't negatively impacting my game.
No, I'm not complaining. It's just like this is the first time I saw a bug in my 25 hours was this, right? So there was that, and then I was driving a motorcycle, and there's some really strong feedback right now from somewhere.
Yeah, it sounded like a vacuum cleaner's running. If I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
It's my wife.
Okay.
So other than that, like the only other bug I really saw was like I was driving a motorcycle down the road, and somehow the motorcycle just disappeared, and my body went flying down the road at 120 miles an hour, and I almost died. But good to know that you can live when your vehicle disappears. So I mean, I haven't really experienced a lot of bugs from that, so I'm really enjoying Cyberpunk. I do kind of want to, when the Series X patch comes out and the update comes out, I will probably play it again with a different through a different character, different start point and everything. So number 4.
I'll be honest, that's kind of what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
The same with the Alan Wake expansion for Control. I've been kind of waiting with that until the Series XX version come out. That's kind of unfortunately where I'm at with that.
I know, and the Ultimate Edition is on sale for $20 right now. Been thinking about it, although I'm sure it'll be on sale like 30 times before then. So
yeah.
My number 4 is Crosscode, which is a kind of a retro action RPG. It's on Game Pass. It's on Nintendo Switch. I've been playing it on Switch. It's very, very cool. You're kind of sucked into this MMO type world, and you go in to save your brother, and then your character and everything gets hacked, and then your real life character gets amnesia, and your speech ability through the MMO kind of goes away, and you learn how to, like, the only words you know how to say is like yes and your name and a couple other things. It's like it's really cool though. I'm like 10-15 hours into it. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to experience some sort of like that retro kind of RPG feel with some modern flair to it, I guess. It's really good. I've been tooting that game's horn since it came out, and I hope more people play it. It is on Game Pass. It's optimized for Series X and S, although I don't really know what that does to a 16-bit RPG, but that's my number 4. Number 3, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Absolutely love what they did to that game. It's
yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what else to say about Tony Hawk, but it feels like I remember Tony Hawk feeling, except it's at 60 frames a second instead of 12 on N64, and that I can hear the entire songs now instead of the 60-second clip of the music just rotating through.
Yeah,
it's really good, guys. If you haven't played the update to Tony Hawk, it's very good. Not that I'm surprised, but I'm surprised it made my list. But I'm actually surprised at how much time I put into it too. It's very, very good. Number 2, recent release, Super Meat Boy Forever. Came out about a week and a half ago, and I have not put it down. It's like the only game I've played the last week and a half.
I forgot that game was coming out this year.
You were going nuts when the debut trailer happened during the Game Awards.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. The Super Meat Boy. One of my friends that I used to podcast with, Matt, got me really hooked on the first game when it came to Switch. I was like, I don't know, whatever. It's a platformer. I'm not gonna. Was super hooked on Super Meat Boy for probably 6 months, and of course I was gonna buy the sequel, and it has not disappointed. The only thing is like it's not an endless runner, but it's just like a continuous runner. So it's more of a puzzle game than a really hard platformer. Still the same concept, right? Like you die, they put you back, and then you keep going. But I'm really enjoying it. I think it's great. It's honestly one of the best games I've played all year, honestly, and that's why it's number 2. And then number 1, Destiny Beyond Light. This expansion. I mean, I don't know if it has to do with like me really getting back into the game this year or tower casuals or whatnot, but like the way that Beyond Light kind of rolled out everything and kind of set the tone for what they want to do in the future and them getting away from Activision and all that stuff. Like, this is just like it really reinvigorated my love for the game, reinvigorated my love for chasing specific roles, doing builds with my character. Like, I still play it once or twice a week. Like, I mean, I've rolled through all the content since then, but like I'm still playing it. I'm still grinding some stuff out. It's just everything I wanted Destiny to be for so long, I feel like, and yeah, I still have some issues with some of the stuff in the game, but I know that, you know, the pandemic and everything, it's just you know, I really feel like it's in a really good spot. So
for sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think they definitely, the way they changed a lot of the stuff around the guns and like like their perks and things like that, like compared to the beginning and even within the last couple of years, honestly, or whatever, I just feel like all that stuff feels so much better. Like, I haven't gotten hardcore back into it, but I have been jumping into it lately. And I just, like, I'm at a point of playing it, casually, where I just am enjoying and feeling like I'm actually accomplishing something in the little time I may put in it that I just didn't feel in the past.
It feels like there's a lot of stuff in here where, like, if you only have like 20 minutes, you can go accomplish something, or you can accomplish something in like 2 or 3 or 4 hours. So yeah. There's kind of something to chase for everyone, and I think that they really have gotten that down pretty well recently. Yeah, and then obviously the raid, getting back into actually doing a raid was everything I really wanted it to be when we did it, and I really want to do it again. So but yeah, Destiny Beyond Light is my number 1. I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of other games, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I could have easily seen in my top 5 if I spent more time with it. Immortals Phoenix Rising is really good too, except I'm playing it on Switch and it's not the greatest version of that game, but it was on sale and I had a gift card from Christmas, so that's where I got it.
Tell Me Why is one of those that I'm almost certain would be in my top 5 if I had gotten the chance to put more time into it recently. But that's one of those games that I definitely want to try to get to and finish.
Yeah,
honestly,
because I really like where I'm at in the story. I'm not far into it, but like I've tried all the other games that these guys have made, and the last one with the like they had the free game, the Captain Spirit or whatever, that I really, really enjoyed, and that demo, and I still do want to kind of play that second game. That first one just didn't appeal to me as much, but this one, like, story wise, I don't know, it just really has captured me more than their other games have. So
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to playing more of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm happy with my list. If I'd had a chance to actually sat down and played Ghost of Tsushima, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, and what was the other game? Tell Me Why. We were just talking about it. You were just talking about it. Tell Me Why. If I'd actually had a chance to play those, might have possibly bumped off Resident Evil 3 and possibly even Hades off of the list.
Yeah, there's a lot of PlayStation stuff that wants up.
Yeah, if I actually had a PlayStation, my list would be radically different. I don't know that anything that I put on it honestly would have made it outside of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, like I really want to play Ghost of Tsushima, I really want to play Spider-Man, and I really want to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. Although I think at some point Final Fantasy VII will be on Xbox. But
yeah.
I also want to give a quick shout out to Good Job on Switch, a little indie game that's like a physics-based puzzle game. Really good. And then Gears 5 Hive Busters is like exactly what I kind of, and I know PlayStation's been doing this a little bit with Lost Legacy and obviously Miles Morales, although those are a lot longer games than this, but like these little interstitial chapters of big releases, I would really love to see them start doing more, get more out of the engine, get more out of the tech that they're using for that game specifically, while, a bigger team is really working on the next big project. I would really love to see more. So, but yeah, that's kind of it. We are kind of running out of time, so we're going to save the games we're looking forward to in 2021 for next week. Hopefully you guys check out our Game of the Year list. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. Check out our big Game of the Year list. Check out our Boss Rush Network First Class on our website under the network. I'm really excited to have them there and listen to their shows just like you've supported us. Really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Josh, where can we find you?
As always, you can find me on Tower Casuals and on Arsenal X here on Boss Rush Games. And you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Josh_Finn with 2 N's. And we're playing through Assassin's Creed Valhalla right now. And then hopefully we'll get that wrapped up and head right on into Outriders.
Nice.
2
N's.
2 N's. Always 2 N's.
Jesse, where can we find you?
You can find me almost everywhere as Phantom NXS, and you can also find me on Arsenal X with these guys.
Yeah. LeRon, where can we find you?
All right, you can find me every Tuesday night with the Crossroads crew, the PlayStation podcast for Boss Rush Games. You can also find me on practically all parts of social media at Exodus803. Good news, Exodus803 is also my Twitch handle as well as my YouTube channel name now. So yes, I have it all under control now.
You can find me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me starting Monday night here, streaming on Boss Rush Games Live, some games. I'm going to try to stream things other than podcasts about probably 2 or 3 nights a week here. So you can find me doing that here. Also, one last thing, bossrushgames.com/live. You can find all of our streaming platforms there as well. So you'll be able to watch Josh's feed there, LeRon's, Jesse's, and mine, as well as anybody else who is looking to stream more. You can find their feeds there. So you can follow us on Twitter at Boss Rush Network. I want to thank everybody so much for watching, and until next week, we love you. Goodbye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.